All right, everybody, welcome back to Real Time for the Real Everyday Movie Fan. I am, of course, Josh Williams.
And I'm Ryan Murphy.
Thank you so much for joining us here today, folks. It's been a little while, but we are back, and I have been crazy busy with schoolwork, photography, and videography. But I never forget about our fans here. And today, we're going to be giving you guys kind of a big block here of real-time reviews. We're going to be doing a lot of Disney Channel original films. We're going to play catch up. We're just kind of talk about them all here. Ryan, what are the movies we're going to actually be reviewing?
Yeah,
Just
because
so
we
the
kind
fans
of we
know.
kind of suck at keeping up on this. Like we're gonna review them all for the 20th anniversary, and then like every few months we're like, oh, let's just do a block because we forgot to do them all.
We
But
did. Hey, but we're still doing them. That's what
yeah,
counts.
today we're doing Ready to Run, Quince, The Other Me, Mom's Got a Date with the Vampire, and we'll put this up on November 10th for the 20th anniversary of Phantom of the Megaplex.
Woo
So
woo.
I hate to sort of torpedo our review before it gets started, but these really are sort of all yeah. None of
Well,
these are
okay.
the standouts for me from our childhood.
For me,
I know
the
what
the
you're gonna say.
standouts and guilty pleasure are Phantom of the Megaplex and Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. Those are the guilty pleasures for me that I watch every Halloween, just
Huh.
because it's nostalgia. They're totally goofy and totally ridiculous, completely ridiculous. But I enjoy watching them.
Well, let's get started with Ready to Run. And this one I watched, and I have no memory of this as a child. I did not watch this as a kid.
Me neither.
Um,
I must have missed out on this as well. So when I rewatched it, it's kind of like watching it for the first time.
yeah. So this is that sort of seems to be going around. It is no. It's again. It's
It's
um. It's
yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ryan. Yeah.
it's extremely formulaic. There's a girl, her dad's dead. Her dad was a racer. She wants to race. Her mom doesn't want her to race because her dad died. You can figure
Yep.
out the rest. There's the standout to me. You mentioned there was an actor you recognized in it. I didn't recognize what name you're talking about. But for me, Josh, you're not a Veronica Mars fan, but for
No,
anyone who
no.
is a Veronica Mars fan, Jason Doring, who plays the other kid, who's surprisingly not a love interest. So it's a little bit unformulaic in that there's another kid who's a writer who she rides with, and they don't fall in love. That's a little bit refreshing. He's just a big weirdo, and he's played by Jason Doran, who every Veronica Mars fan knows played Logan on Veronica Mars, and that's kind of the standout to me. But
Oh, yeah.
other than that, the horse talks, and there's really no need for the horse to talk. Like she can hear a horse
Yeah.
talking, and like you could play this whole movie without that aspect, and it would just kind of come off as the same. But so other than that, it's a nice little formulaic racing movie. Your kids might like it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, for any kid who likes horse racing, or even for any girl, anybody who's out there who, likes to see a female, in a lead role for a sports film, especially if you're young, this actually would be pretty decent, pretty fun for you, quite possibly. And you said Jason Dorn. I didn't realize. Yeah, you probably won't know this from what I know him from iZombie, where
Mm.
he was in that show for about 2 or 3 seasons. He played a zombie in that one. But yeah, but the person I was talking about was Nestor Serrano. He played Hector, and a lot of movies he's been in. A lot of stuff you might know him, like he was in Bad Boys, Act of Valor. He's been in quite a few, like The Day After Tomorrow. He was in that as well. He's kind of been in quite a few movies. He's more been in like in the background and side characters,
Okay.
but he's been in Hollywood for quite a long time. So it was seeing him was kind of a good thing to see. And for me, like, the same thing as you. It was is all these Disney Channel original movies are very formulaic, but it's to be able to add a special extra something that helps keep you interested, like Brink. Like it's very formulaic of what happens, but the jokes and the chemistry between the cast really keeps things refreshing and fun. Whereas this one, it had just the formulaic aspect of the screenplay, and that's all you really had. So for me, and that's pretty much all I have as well. I mean, it's not bad, it's not great, but it's in the middle. So and actually, I would say for Disney Channel Original movie that actually could be a good thing because there's some of these movies that we like. What's the one with the aliens that I already forgot about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the two we can all agree. If we do all of these, when we look back on them, the two worst ones will always be Up, Up and Away and Stepsister from Planet Weird.
yes,
Those are the
definitely.
black sheep, I
They
think,
are.
of
It's
these.
nowhere near that bad, but it's like
Yeah,
it's nowhere on the greatness of Brink or
it's not
Double
Brink.
Teamed
And Brink's the
or
best. Everyone.
Yeah,
I
but
think there's
also
a
like,
spectrum that we can all sort of agree on is that everyone loves Brink and
but
Halloween Town.
the color of friendship, or True Confessions, those are like the top echelons that I would think of these Disney Channel films. So this is somewhere in the middle. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just nothing I would ever
It's
revisit.
it's 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 on the lower tier for me just because it is so unremarkable. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Even the other ones, and maybe it's because I don't remember watching. Maybe if I had watched it when I was a kid, I remember it fondly. But even the other ones we're talk about, I have more memories of, so that colors my perception of them. But let's move on to the next one is Quince. Again, this one I did watch as a kid,
I
but
did. I liked
again,
it.
even still, it's sort of eh. It's not, it's not like a super imaginative film like Halloween Town or a movie about sports like Brink or something that has all those extra layers. It's just a little, I guess, comedy, but it's not really particularly funny either. It's just sort of a little situation film about, oh, mom has twins and has Quints, and and yeah. So the
I
biggest thing for me is this movie is it wasted a Don Knotts role. This movie got the legendary Don Knotts to be in it, and you gotta think this is getting towards the end of his life, like, and it's like
Yeah.
he's in it and he's just like not funny, and it's just like, well, look, there's Don Knotts, and then goodbye Don Knotts, and then the movie's over. So
Yeah. That is one too, but I actually don't mind this movie at all. I actually think for the
you should
coming
put
of
that on the
age,
poster. I actually don't mind this movie at all.
I don't mind it at all. I actually like if when you said we had reviews when I actually kind of look forward to it. Yeah, I mean Kimberly Brown. This isn't like her premiere. Like everyone knows her from Halloween Town. Like that's where she'll always be attributed to, not necessarily this movie or anything else. And but she did a good job playing the sister of these Quince, siblings. And I actually liked the coming of age aspect where she has to learn the responsibility of helping take care of her brothers and sisters. So, from going from the only child to all of a sudden having so many, siblings at one time, it can be a culture shock, and they didn't do too bad at portraying that. So and that's the part I actually think I like the most. And like this one, it is more in the middle upper section as far as quality. Like I said, I liked the dramatic aspects is pretty good. Like you said, the comedy did not stick for any of it for me. None of it was like the spots they try to be funny weren't really funny. But I don't know. That's I would say I don't know about you because we kind of talk about that where we would put it within the rankings of this. I would say the middle upper section of the quality. What about you?
It's somewhere to the middle to the bottom to me. Like it's just on
Yeah.
that middle section, but it's a little bit just kind of unremarkable.
Yeah.
But moving on, and again, it wasted Don Knotts. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, it did. I will say that for sure.
So moving on, we got the other me. Again, not the greatest. This is one I remember more. It does have a little bit more of that fantastical quality of it to sort of lend to our memory, because kids like fantasy and sci-fi a lot. And but this one is just sort of like, again, Andy Lawrence. It's another Andy Lawrence. The Lawrence brothers were definitely some favorites of the Disney Channel at the time. Clones himself, and hilarity ensues. Doesn't particularly stick in terms of being a sci-fi adventure film or anything. And again, the comedy doesn't really land, but it's a little bit fun. It's a little bit coming of age. Guy learns to be more responsible through his clone. Classic
Yeah.
story. It's one I definitely remember. Watched it when I was a kid, but nothing too great.
This reminded me a lot like of as far as the ridiculous science aspect of it, kind of like the proof point, where you're just kind of like, really, you use things called ocean pups to then use those to clone yourself. Like how is this even possible? I mean, I
It's
guess
hyper
in
cloning.
this, yeah,
and it
maybe
creates a version of you with the same haircut. And I mean, at least he's naked. That's a weird thing to say. You know what I mean? Because if he showed up with clothes, like when
yeah,
he
right.
clones himself, he shows up wearing clothes, which is not beyond the scientific aspect of a lot of children's shows. So at least he like they're trying to at least a little bit hard to like, okay, so he's there, he's just flesh. He's a
Yep.
clone, but still, like, I mean, why is like it's called hypercloning because he's the same age, so that's why they call
right?
it hypercloning. But like I'm focused on the hair. Like, how long would a hyperclone's hair be? I mean, would Well, in this case, it's the same length as the other person. So there's that. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's
and the main actor Andrew Lawrence did as best as he could. I mean, this was kind of one of his solo films.
it
Not
was he did
nearly.
yeah, he did a good performance, and he had to play two roles, and one was very
Mhm.
naive and stupid, and or whatever. And the
Not
other one
nearly as
was
good as Horse Sense, I will say that. In these roles, that and he was even better in Jumping Ship, which we're gonna be reviewing next year.
mhm.
Um, but I mean, this, like I said, for one of the ones that's kind of where he's on his own without his brothers, he did a pretty good job. I will give him that at least. But
Mhm.
other than that, I mean, the cast. I mean, you kind of see a lot of these other characters who have been in other Disney Channel original movies. So I mean, take that what you will. This one for me is going to be the lower middle part of the quality and ranking of all these movies. It was
Mhm.
okay. It was such a hard pill to swallow for some of these things that are like, trying to be scientific and go like do these weird things. Like some of them you can buy, and then there's some of them you're just like, I don't know. That's gone so off the rails. I don't know if I could, be okay with that necessarily.
But go ahead. The next one is Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, and I will say that this is
Yeah.
more of the middle to upper tier now, because as far as how I remember it, it's got a good premise. As far as the premise go, you could probably new viewers can probably figure it out. It's Mom's got a date with a vampire. Kid's got to save her from the vampire who's going to kill her by the end of the night. So like I said, it has to start with like a winning premise, and this does have sort of a really good premise for a kids movie. I will say, watching it as an adult could have been a lot better.
Ah,
The kids are not very charming in this. Laura Vandervoort is sort of the celebrity in the room here, I guess.
yep.
She grew up to be on Smallville and V. Caroline Rhea was the celebrity. This movie actually has a few celebrities in it who are famous
Yeah.
at the time. Caroline Rhea, who was on Sabrina and had her own talk show for a while, was famous at the time. Robert Carradine, who at the time, this was the first time I ever saw him. He was, known for Revenge of the Nerds, but this was the first time I ever saw him. And then in the ensuing months, he would start to be on Lizzie McGuire. So I
Yep. As a
remember
father.
seeing him here first, and then Lizzie McGuire second. And then the actor who plays the vampire himself is give me a second here. Um,
Charles Shaughnessy.
Shaughnessy, yeah, who
Shaughnessy.
from The Nanny, if anyone watched The Nanny growing
Yeah.
up. So it had like three well-known adult actors in it, and the kid also, who was the youngest kid, because there's three kid characters in it,
Yep.
was in the black sheep of Disney movies, stepsister from Planet Weird, Miles
Yeah.
Jeffrey. But the kids aren't very charming, and the way it's executed isn't very charming. So I probably liked it again. I liked it better as a kid because you're a kid. But as an adult, it was a little let down for me. But still, because it has a good fantastical premise, I put it in the middle to upper tier of Disney movies, Disney Channel
Yeah. And
movies.
I always have fun watching this movie around Halloween time. I actually just watched it 2 weeks ago. I did it back to back with that and Phantom of the Megaplex because they're just so nostalgic and fun. Like they're goofy as all hell, but they're fun. And I would agree that they're not the most charming of kids, but they did learn good lessons as the movie went on. Even though it only spanned like a day, like the time frame only spanned a day. I mean, I guess being forced to, possibly losing your mom to a vampire helps you learn a few life lessons of how to treat one another and treat each other as a family. So, I mean, there is that part of it. I mean, I wish it had gone maybe a little bit longer, but hey, I mean, when you're trying to do a quick little, just a mom's got a date with a vampire thing, you might just need to have it span a day. I don't know. But other than that, I mean, I always have fun watching it. The adult cast really did round out the movie very well. I feel like if they wouldn't have gotten such famous faces, it maybe wouldn't have been as good. Especially with the guy who played Dimitri, Charles Shaughnessy. He was very. He always has such good chemistry, and this role actually did really well for him. Just kind of being this charming vampire, and Carolyn Ray kind of being just like the typical mom who's single and is getting divorced and just trying to find her footing again in the dating world. So that I mean those parts were a lot of fun, and the kids were okay, like you said. I felt like it would have. it would have done better. Maybe they weren't so mean to one another, but then again, what siblings aren't mean to one another that age?
That's the
So
point. But also, can we just say there's a friend character in this movie who is like really
stupid.
it's not just that he's stupid, but every time he's on screen, the direction of like his performance, it seems like he's mentally challenged or something. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so
it
weird. Like I'm just
says
like, who's directing this? Steve Boyum directed this, and I want to call Steve Boyum. Like, I know this was 20 years ago, but what was going on? Because like you have to watch the movie. I almost have to watch the movie to even believe this. He's like they're talking really slow, and he's like, "Come on, man, let's." I don't know how to describe it. Watch the movie. It's just weird. It's one of the
yeah.
weirdest performances I've ever seen. Um,
The person you're talking about is Duffy, who plays Adam's friend, the
yeah.
yeah, the older son, the older kid's friend. Yeah, I know what
Mhm.
you're talking about. And then like when he's trying to say something to him, like there's like these long pauses, like it's almost like he's high
Yes.
all the time.
Come on, man. Like, we have to go to the show. I'm like, what is happening?
But I know but that can't be the case because it's the Disney Channel original movie, and they Disney wouldn't do that, especially since they're in middle school. But
but
uh, but yeah, it's almost like he was high throughout the whole
it's
thing.
a really
But
bizarre performance. But
either way, I will always watch them every Halloween just because it's such. Now, I will admit I didn't watch them up until uh, when Disney Plus first came around.
which is this
Like,
year. So I'll watch this
yeah,
every Halloween starting now.
but no, like whenever like before Disney Channel Disney Plus came around, you could always find them like on YouTube or just like other places. Like I think before this year, I did watch them last year. I forgot how I because beforehand they actually were available around Halloween time. Before Disney Plus, they had a Disney app just for like kids shows, like old stuff. And so like they would kind of circulate them in and out, like they wouldn't all be available on Disney Plus, like Disney Pluses, but the old Disney app did like shuffle them in and out. So that's how I was able to watch them before. But now that they're available just all year round, I'll just always check them out every year.
Well, the next one is Phantom of the Megaplex, and this is one that's really weird because this is one of those ones like Brink. Everyone says that you talk to our age is like, oh yeah, Phantom of the Megaplex, that was one of my favorites, and I've never been able to connect with it the same way other people do. This is not one of my favorites. This is one of the ones that was like, to me always. And watching it as an adult, it's even less charming than it was back then. It's just like it's not exciting or anything to me in the same way it is to other people. There's a guy sabotaging a movie theater and making certain things go wrong, and that's kind of it. It's kind of boring, and it's not. It doesn't seem like a very big deal. And in fact, spoiler alert, they catch the guy at the end, and he gets a little bit of a happy ending. The guy's like, "Yeah, we should make a movie out of this. Let's go talk." And I'm like, "Yeah," because he's not that bad a guy. Because nothing that happened in this movie was a very big deal. He just sabotaged a couple of screens, ruined
Right.
some people's movies. So and of course we have to talk about Mickey Rooney in this movie.
Yep.
Again, like Don Knotts, kind of a waste. Mickey Rooney, at one point, the biggest star in the world, absolute legend, shows up here as this. It's not as big a waste as Don Knotts because he actually gets to do something. He gets to talk about movies and how much he loves movies, and it's kind of fun to hear that stuff coming out of Mickey Rooney's mouth. Like, movies are about magic, and I'm like, you tell him, Mickey. But that's about it for me. It's just never been that important. But it is to other people. So let's hear from you.
I've always, even as a kid, I loved this movie, and as an adult, it's not the best of quality. But now it's gotten to the point where it's so hokey to the point that it's charming. Like and usually when something's really hokey, it's bad. But for some reason, it works in its favor because it's just so ridiculous and fun that they keep the fun aspect going. And these kids really do add the element of fun to, especially the main kid who's like the little detective kid. Jacob Smith plays him. His name is Brian in the movie. And you said it yourself too. Mickey Rooney added the very nice element to it that I think helped out a lot. It helped ground the film more so than anything. But when everything else is going on, the Phantom actually the costume was actually really cool. That's probably one of the highlights, and it helps kind of add the Halloween spookiness to it. And I don't know, I can't. It's hard to articulate why it's like the hokiness is actually charming. It just is. It's one of those personal preferences. especially now as an adult, like you either find it hokey like you do and just completely underwhelming, or it's actually charming to you and you actually have fun watching it every year. Like there is so many eye rolling moments, but you're just kind of like, whatever. It's just a fun time. And the ending, yeah, I do hate watching the ending every time because yeah, like he kind of just gets like he gets an easy way out. Like not an easy way, like that's what he doesn't get any consequences to his actions. And you're just kind of like, come on, dude. You only sabotaged a few little movie theaters, but you kind of ruined a lot of people's nights, man. And I don't know.
Can I
That
just
that that
say, yeah, there's an actress in this movie, Corinne Bohrer, who
yeah,
was in some other.
plays the mom.
She was in Under Wraps, which is the one we never reviewed Under Wraps because every time I would bring it up because that's pre-Brink, and every time I would bring it up, no, it started with Brink. Everyone, I'm like, yeah, but there's other Disney Channel. No one cares about anything pre-Brink. It started with Brink.
It started with Brink. That's right.
Started with Brink. But she played a mom in Under Wraps. She played the mom in this. She played a mom in a movie called Star Kid, which was in popular.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Right.
Holy cow.
She was in an episode of The Flash, and to bring this up again, she was in Veronica Mars. She played Veronica Mars's mom. So, but the thing is, I always get her confused with the actress who played the aunt in Xenon. She's like identical to her.
Oh yeah, what was the mom in Xenon's name?
I didn't know to look it up right now because I always thought they were the same person. I found out they were different people. That woman's name is Holly Fulger. And it blew my mind when I was watching these and I realized that Holly Fulger was not Corinne Bohrer because I thought I watched Veronica Mars for 3 seasons thinking the mom, or she wasn't in the show the whole time, but I watched the whole Veronica Mars show thinking the mom was the aunt from Xenon, and she's not. But she is the mom from other Disney Channel original movies. And I'm like, my mind is blown. But yes, these ladies look exactly alike and it's weird.
And just now I kind of had a minor epiphany on why I find it so charming. Because I will admit the kids in this movie, when it comes to the main brother who plays Pete, the sister Karen, and the kid Brian, they all try so hard to act, but they're terrible. But I think the reason it's so charming is the fact that you can tell they're really trying to act well. It's just not working out for them. And I think you just kind of give them a pass for that. And so I think that's one of the reasons that everyone really tried to make it good, and it ended up being really hokey. But it works, and for me, that part works in its favor.
Okay. Well, we'll put this up on November 10th, which is the 20th anniversary of Phantom of the Megaplex. I know there's a lot of fans of it out there, so good for you. I've never super taken to this movie, but that'll do us for this month. And hopefully we'll be back to make a short review next month of The Ultimate Christmas Present. So.
Oh wow. Which one was that?
That was the. And that say it all.
Like when you said, I'm like, I don't remember.
It's the one with I remember it because it had John Sally, who was a basketball player.
Oh, it's the girls who.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Two
one.
girls that are in it, and they try and make snow and all kinds of other shit.
That sounds dirty. You just described it like it was a porno.
No, weirdo.
And on that
I know what you're talking about. On that note, folks, yeah, that'll do it for today. Thank you very much for watching. More importantly, guys, what did you think of all these Disney Channel original films when you grew up watching? Because I'm pretty sure everyone who's listening either are just now getting, like young kids are just now getting introduced to these films, or you're like our age and you're just being nostalgic for the review factor only. If you either way, what did you think of the films? Jump in the comments, give us your positives, negatives, and your score. Also, like what you watched, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can receive more of our various content in the future. Also, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Stardust. The links are in the description below.
We still have Stardust?
We do. I still use it.
What is that? I've never known.
I still review it. It's basically where you do little mini 30-second reviews. And it's like that way people can actually get the reviews in. I have only used it, I think I only used it 3 times in the month of November, just because it was just movies that are like older horror movies. But yeah, I still use it for us. It's there. That way that people on there can actually hopefully follow and find us here and watch our full reviews here. So, and again, thank you guys so much for watching. I am Josh Williams.
And I'm Ryan Murphy.
And thank you for keeping it real.
With ReelTime.